Now then, we'll buy the good old Denby pillar drill, and I spent quite a few video sessions repairing this, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. It'll drill 1.25 inch hole in 1/2 inch steel with no fuss, just steady away. And then of course we've got I think this is a Meddings, slightly smaller, but it'll do the job. Anyway, enough of that. We're on with harvester bars again, but this time I'm talking about the nose bearings. So we better zoom in because we've got a pair of bars here with separate faults. So let's have a look. So we'll have a look at the clamp end. As you can see, that far one, it's split there and it's actually bent there. So don't think so. This one here, this slot is just slightly open, but not very much, maybe 1 mil. And I've actually made a new jig for doing this, and it works that much better. It's brilliant, but we'll do a separate video on that. It's, you know, when you make something and then you use it and then you think about it, and then you come up with an idea and you remake it and just improves on stuff. So we've got, at the moment, we've got a bar with one good clamp end, okay, and then we come to the other end, the nose bearing end, and focus. This one seems to be fine, yeah, but the other one has got a huge chunk out of it here, and the bearing is seized. Now you might be able to tap that round and free it off, but I think there's been a lot of heat there. So what I'm proposing to do with this video is, I've been experimenting with removing these nose bearings, and it's quite interesting, if just slightly tedious, because there are 32 very small rollers behind here and they can be quite objectionable. So we've got a small drill bit in there. That's better. Yep. That's enough. Like that. Right, we're going to punch those out now. Hopefully that will, as we punch it through, it will relieve the sideward pressure of that riveting, and these rivets will push through. So let's give it a go. So that one's gone. And that one. Yeah. Okay. So that's all of them gone. Now we need to be careful, because we'll slide that out and all the 32 little rollers will just shoosh. So we need to put this on a board on the floor. It can be rather tricky. Oh, it's not so bad. Because one of the problems is, as you take this past these holes, the rollers at the back have got a tendency to want to drop into those holes. There we go. That was a lot smoother than I expected. And let's have a close look at that. So these rollers don't look too bad. But as you imagine, trying to get those into there is very difficult. You need your best glasses on and then slowly fit them. And if you can see there, I don't know whether you can, let me have a look. Here, this roller is that way, with the flat that way and the flat this way, so that you can put that in there and then just tip it. If you have it the other way, with the flat this way and that way, it just won't fit. Anyway, you have to just slowly build that up. If you put some grease on there, it does two things. One, it holds them in, but two, it makes it stick, the rollers stick to your fingers and then they just lift out. So it can be a right royal pain. And there we go. We have one here. These darker ones are ones that I've robbed off something else. And I did take one apart and it was a total waste of time because there were flats on the rollers. All the rollers were effectively scrap. And these are really quite small. I think they're 3mm in diameter and 2mm long, something like that. Really dinky. And as I say, there are 32 of them. So tricky. Now, trying to get that into a roller nose can be a bit difficult. I think you have to put a bit of grease on there, be really like wet, push it in, then clean it off, and then put a piece of thin paper or something on one side so that when you slide it into the nose, that there isn't the tendency for these to drop through the holes in the bottom half of that nose slot, which is like then you've got to rebuild, take it all apart and rebuild it again. And the other thing is to open up the nose slot and clean on the inside, get rid of any burrs or anything like that with a fine cutting disc, just to remove burrs. Then open the slot up. Where are we? There we go. Open this slot up, put a chisel down there and just open it up a bit. So then this roller can slide in there and then you can clamp it back together. Yeah, so I'm going to continue on tidying up, putting things back together, and I'll get back to you shortly. There we go. Got to be really careful. Right, a little bit of grease, but hardly anything, and then a bit of paper on there or something like that. Right, this is a bit of nail that I used, and that is basically 5mm. And I checked the rollers, and they are 3mm diameter, 2mm high, as it were, long. What we're doing here, switching it off. So what we've got here is I've got that nose bearing and sprocket, and there's a piece of cellophane there, and there's a bit of grease. So there we go. And as I've said before, I've spread this nose slightly, so let's just make it up as we go along. But this is looking, I'm not saying anything, but that's a lot better than last time. So where are we? There we go. That looks like something like we got it right. We need a little bit of something else just to hold everything in place. So let's just put these through there. Okay, I think we're there. So now we need to clamp that together with a dinky little clamp. And I'm hoping all those rollers are all in the right place. Can you see? You can't really see. I've just come off the edge of the plywood base. Okay. And I think we're there. Now, do you think we need to pull that cellophane out, or do you think it'll wear its way out? I think it'll wear its way out. I'm a bit sort of reticent to pull it out because it moves the, as you do that, it moves the bearing. Put that in there. Just trying to, as you can see, I'm making this up as we go along. That's some of the cellophane out. That's a good start. Yeah, that is a very good start. Hopefully you saw that and not the back of my head. Right, so now what we need to do is we need to just put this in the vise and create a very small rivet effect there, and then we'll work out how long these need to be. So I'm just going to do that. Hopefully you saw all that lot. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, so therefore, yeah, just round that over slightly. Be back in a moment. So I've just created a very small burr there, and then we just need to go from the back, one of these holes, feed that up through there, mark that with a pen and cut it off. Where are we? And these, according to, yep, that if I cut to the outside of that, or the middle of that line, it's about 9mm, and that should do. Cut that off, cut another 6 of those and rivet them back in. Hopefully that makes sense. The interesting bit is preparing the end of the nose to take the bearing back in, or to put the new or second-hand bearing in. You can't just push it in, you've got to clean it all out, splay it a little bit, mess around, and that bit of cellophane seemed to work really well. And that roller, as you can see, is rolling quite well, because I did put a bit of grease there, but not a huge amount. Yeah, just enough for that cellophane to stick to the surface of the sprocket, the centre and the bearings. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm just going to crack on with that and we'll see how we get on. So I'm just removing the burrs from cutting. Bit tricky. If I was to do a lot of these, I would buy some rivets. So there we go, that's removed the burrs. Now we need to zoom down on here, and we just need to, where's that little hammer gone? Just need to pop these rivets in there. Okay, I'm going to leave that. No, I won't. Yes, I will. Let's just move that out of the way. And the last rivet. Then we want to turn that over onto a steel block, which is over here. Right, we need to move the camera. Okay, of course this was the block that I used to make the dowel pins when I was putting those windows together. I'm just a little bit nervous about taking that clamp off at the moment. I don't want to hear the patter of little roller bearings. Okay, noise alert. That doesn't feel right. So we'll just rivet that. That's a rivet come out. This is very fiddly trying to do this on camera. I think what I'll do is I'll put a bolt through there, and then we can really pay some attention to this. Right, noise alert. Yeah. So we're using the ball of the ball peen hammer, and There we go. That will obviously want filing off or grinding off, because it's a little bit proud, but that's fine because we can. Okay, you don't need to say any more of that. I will just put all those in. Now they're tight, I can take this bolt out and I will catch up with you in a minute. So there we go, and then just wipe a file or run the grinder. There's a little burr there that wants to come off, and there we go. I've actually centre dotted each of those rivets just to swell it out a bit more, and I did run the grinder over the rails, clear the rails out, and also on these ones, where are we? There we go. That little hole there is the oil hole, so I poked the hole through from this side through to there on both of them, just to make sure that that's open. And then I will just check that there's no more damage on these rails, which I don't think there is from the beating that it's had, and that'll do. So that is one different roller nose in this bar, so 2 bars made into one. Hopefully that makes some sense and find it entertaining and informative. 32 rollers, would you believe it? And of course on these, the only way that they're lubricated is from the chain oil, so it's equally important that everything else on this bar is right, so the oil does get all the way along and into this nose. Catch up with you soon. Comment and discussion. Cheers for now.